The Age of Embers, the Great World War of the Ancients. Long ago, in an age when empires stretched from horizon to horizon and civilizations thrived under the gaze of countless stars, the world was united by peace until greed and ambition tore it asunder. This was the Age of Embers, a time of world-shaking conflict when the great empires of the ancient world collided in a brutal struggle for supremacy, a conflict that would later be remembered as the Great War of the Ancients. In the north was the powerful empire of Valtoria, a kingdom known for its steel-clad armies and unmatched naval fleet. Valtoria was a land of sprawling cities, disciplined soldiers, and a people who revered their warrior king, Thalon, the Conqueror. Thalon had led his people through decades of expansion, subduing smaller kingdoms and absorbing their knowledge and resources into Valtoria. He was ambitious and unwavering, believing it was his destiny to rule the entire world. To the south lay the flourishing nation of Zephyria, a kingdom built upon the wisdom of its scholars and the wealth of its golden deserts. The people of Zephyria were renowned for their artistry, their innovations, and their trade routes that spanned across continents. Queen Amara, the Wise, ruled Zephyria with a focus on diplomacy and progress, and her council of advisors included some of the most brilliant minds of the age. For centuries, Zephyria had been a beacon of peace, but Amara knew that a clash with Valtoria was inevitable. She had long prepared her people, fortifying her cities and amassing an army trained in both combat and strategy. To the west lay the warrior nation of Orestia, a land of rugged mountains and fearless fighters. The Orestians were born and bred in the art of war, and they revered their ancestors who had defended their harsh land from invaders for generations. Their leader, General Kalis, was known as the Thunder Spear, a man feared for his unmatched skill on the battlefield and his ability to inspire loyalty in his troops. Although Orestia was not as large or prosperous as Valtoria or Zephyria, its warriors were legendary, and Kalis had forged an alliance with his eastern neighbor, the mysterious kingdom of Yara. Yara was an enigma, a kingdom shrouded in mist and mystery, ruled by the priestess Amara. Yara was known for its mystical practices, and its people were deeply connected to nature, living in harmony with the forest and rivers that cradled their homeland. Amara was rumored to possess powers beyond mortal understanding, and her priests and priestesses were skilled in the ancient arts of healing and divination. Though Yara was small, its warriors were feared for their spiritual resilience and cunning, and the Orestians believed that with Yara's alliance, they would have the power to resist any invader. The world trembled as these four great nations eyed each other warily, each one driven by its own purpose, yet bound to the others by geography, trade, and the fragile peace that had lasted for centuries. But peace, as always, is fragile. The spark of war was ignited when a border dispute erupted between Valtoria and Zephyria over the fertile lands of Rada, a region rich in resources and strategically located. Both Thalon and Amara laid claim to Rada, and for months, diplomats attempted to resolve the conflict through negotiation. But neither side would yield, and after an unfortunate skirmish between border guards, tensions escalated beyond repair. In a matter of weeks, Thalon declared war on Zephyria, launching a massive invasion into Rada. Queen Amara was forced to mobilize her forces, calling upon her generals to defend the region. However, the conflict quickly spiraled out of control, drawing in both Orestia and Yara. Orestia, sensing an opportunity to expand its own borders and challenge the dominance of Valtoria, declared its alliance with Zephyria. Amara, bound by her alliance with Orestia and distrustful of Valtoria's ambition, vowed to protect her lands and her people. The Great War of the Ancients had begun. The conflict spanned every terrain imaginable, from dense jungles and barren deserts to frozen tundras and treacherous mountain passes. Valtoria's disciplined legions swept across the land like wildfire, their armor gleaming as they crushed all resistance. But the soldiers of Zephyria, though fewer in number, fought with the tactical brilliance taught to them by Amara and her generals. They laid traps, cut supply lines, and lured the Valtorian forces into ambushes. Meanwhile, Orestia's fearless warriors, hardened by years of combat in their rugged mountains, launched devastating raids on Valtoria's borders, using guerrilla tactics to strike and retreat before the Valtorians could respond. The Orestians were quick, ruthless, and knew the land well, making it nearly impossible for Valtoria to gain a foothold in Orestian territory. But Valtoria held a dark secret. Thalon had sent envoys to the distant and mysterious isles of the north, where he had struck a pact with the Ice Priests, a feared and ancient order of mystics. In exchange for Valtorian treasures and promised lands, the Ice Priests provided Thalon with an army of spectral warriors, beings of frost and shadow bound by dark magic. These spectral warriors, immune to pain and driven by the relentless cold, spread fear across the battlefield. They struck terror into the hearts of Zephyrians and Orestians alike, and soon it seemed that Valtoria would prevail. But Queen Amara would not relent. She sent a secret envoy to Yara, pleading with Priestess Amara for aid. Amara, seeing the suffering of the people and the growing power of Thalon, gathered her own mystics and summoned ancient forces rooted deep in the natural world. She called upon the spirits of the earth, wind, and water, forging a counterforce to the spectral warriors. With Yara's help, the allies managed to repel the Valtorian forces, pushing them back and breaking the icy curse that had gripped the land. The final battle took place on the plains of Arathor, a desolate stretch where countless soldiers had fallen. Armies from every nation gathered, knowing that this battle would decide the fate of the world. Thalon, clad in black iron and flanked by his spectral army, rode at the head of his legions. Amara and Kalis led the allied forces, their soldiers weary but determined to end the bloodshed. Amara, wielding the ancient powers of Yara, stood behind her allies, chanting ancient spells to bolster their courage and weaken the spectral army. The clash was epic, the thunder of battle echoing for miles as swords met shields and magic rent the skies. The ground trembled, and the air was thick with dust and the cries of warriors. Finally, in a moment of desperation, Amara and Kalis charged through the Valtorian lines, facing Thalon himself. In a fierce duel, the three leaders fought for their nations, their people, and their beliefs. At last, Amara dealt the final blow, striking down Thalon and shattering the hold of the Ice Priests. With Thalon's fall, Valtoria's army collapsed. The spectral warriors vanished, and the survivors of Valtoria's once mighty force surrendered. The war was over. In the years that followed, the world began to rebuild. The nations, though weary and battered, formed a council of peace, vowing to prevent such a catastrophic conflict from ever arising again. Amara, Kalis, and Amara became legends, remembered for their bravery and wisdom in a time of darkness. The fields of Arathor were transformed into a vast memorial, a place where people from all lands came to remember the cost of war and the preciousness of peace. The Great War of the Ancients was a reminder to all of humanity that true power lies not in conquest, but in the bonds between people and the resolve to protect and uplift each other. As decades passed, the world healed, and the scars of the Great War of the Ancients faded into history. The Council of Peace grew into an enduring alliance among the nations, fostering cooperation and trade in place of rivalry. Each year, on the anniversary of the final battle, leaders from Valtoria, Zephyria, Orestia, and Yara gathered on the plains of Arathor to honor the fallen and reaffirm their commitment to unity. They erected a grand monument in the heart of the battlefield, a towering obelisk bearing the names of every known soldier who fought in the war, regardless of which side they served. Children from all kingdoms were taught the stories of Amara, Caelus, Amara, and even Thalon, not only as legends, but as lessons in humility, courage, and restraint. The tale of the Great War became a reminder of both the devastating price of ambition and the strength found in unity.